I was having coffee with a friend of mine last week. He was ecstatic, practically vibrating with energy because he'd just been accepted into a top-tier MBA program.
Yeah, big news for him.
Huge. And he pulled out his phone, showed me the tuition figures, well into the six figures, but he talked about it like it was the best investment he could possibly make. You know,
the dream investment.
Totally. He had this whole vision, this perfectly mapped out 5-year plan.
Yeah.
The prestigious consulting gig right after graduation, the high 6-figure salary by 28, the seamless climb up the corporate ladder.
Right. The classic trajectory.
Exactly. To him, the MBA wasn't just a degree. It was a golden ticket, the one thing that guaranteed this future.
Uh-huh. The guarantee.
And then I asked him if he'd seen the latest numbers from Harvard Business School.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. The excitement in his face just flickered for a second. I told him about the report that just came out, the one that found nearly a quarter of their 2024 MBA graduates were still unemployed 3 months after getting their diploma.
Wow. A quarter from Harvard.
A quarter. The silence that followed was, well, it was uncomfortable. You could literally see the gears turning in his head as he tried to reconcile the story he'd been sold with this one jarring fact.
I can imagine. That's a tough statistic to hear when you've just committed.
He tried to laugh it off, saying, well, that's Harvard, not my school. But you could tell the damage was done.
The seed of doubt was planted.
Exactly. That one statistic had planted a seed of doubt. If the best of the best are struggling, what does that mean for everyone else? And what exactly is that golden ticket buying you anymore?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe multi-$100,000 question in this case.
Right. Okay, so let's unpack this. That whole conversation really got me thinking, and it's, I think, a perfect starting point for our deep dive today.
Absolutely.
We're here to explore this really pivotal question. What is going on with the MBA? Is it still the career launchpad we've always been told it is, or is the ground shifting beneath our feet?
It certainly feels like things are changing rapidly.
Yeah. We're going to dive deep into some fascinating material that looks at how leading global corporations are actively reevaluating who they hire.
Big changes there.
Business schools are doing, or maybe not doing, to keep pace, and crucially, whether there are now other, perhaps even more effective, paths to leadership that don't involve that massive 6-figure tuition bill.
The alternative routes. Yeah, that's a huge part of the conversation now.
It really is. It's a journey into this rapidly evolving landscape of business education and really what it means for you, whether you're maybe thinking about an MBA or already climbing the corporate ladder, or frankly, just intently curious about what truly makes a modern leader successful in today's world. My friend's shock about those Harvard numbers, that quarter of 2024 grads still unemployed 3 months out, it's definitely not an isolated incident.
No, it seems to be part of a pattern.
Right. I've been hearing a lot of chatter and seeing it reflected in the data, too, that suggests the old rules of hiring, especially when you get to senior roles, are really changing. The focus is, well, it's definitely shifting.
Shifting towards what, would you say?
Well, I was digging into this whole debate recently, and this story from a contact I have at a major European tech firm really stuck with me.
Okay.
She told me about Chloe, a hiring manager in their Berlin office. And Chloe was looking for a senior product lead.
Okay. Important role.
Very important. This
Perfect.
wasn't just any role. It was critical for their new AI-driven logistics platform. So, high stakes.
Got it.
Chloe had 2 amazing candidates who made it to the final round. Just 2. One was, the traditional golden boy MBA from a world-renowned school, super polished, knew all the right frameworks backward and forward, could talk strategy all day long.
The classic profile.
Exactly. Yeah. The other candidate, Marco, no MBA, none at all.
Interesting.
Instead, he'd climbed the ranks at a scrappy startup, taught himself Python in his evenings, racked up online certifications in data analytics and machine learning, really put in the work himself.
Self-starter. Okay.
And when he came to the interview, he didn't just talk theory. He came with a portfolio.
Ah, the portfolio. Proof.
Exactly. Proof. And in that portfolio was a small-scale logistics model he'd built himself, specifically designed to tackle some of the very challenges their company was facing with this new platform.
Wow. So he didn't just talk the talk, he'd already started walking the walk for them.
Precisely. Chloe told my contact it felt like a real crossroads decision for the company. The MBA candidate was the safe bet, right? The traditional choice, the one you'd always chosen before.
The default option, almost.
Right. But Marco was the experience. He'd already done the work. He could actually show them what he could do, not just talk about what he might do.
That's a powerful distinction.
And guess what? They hired Marco.
They did, okay.
Yeah. And what really blew me away was Chloe saying it was the first time she'd successfully pitched a non-MBA for such a senior role, and the leadership approved it. Like, without hesitation.
That is significant. That signals a real shift in thinking at the top, too.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? The definition of the best candidate is definitely being rewritten. It feels like global corporations are becoming far more pragmatic.
Pragmatic is a good word for it. Less about the pedigree, more about the proof.
Yeah, they're looking for proof of skill, for people who haven't just studied business theory, but have actually demonstrated their ability to build, to analyze, and importantly, to adapt in the real world. It seems like a portfolio of projects can now speak louder than a diploma sometimes.
And what's truly fascinating here is that Chloe's story, Marco's story, it isn't just an isolated anecdote. It perfectly encapsulates this broader trend that I've been seeing consistently in the data we look at.
So the data backs this up.
Oh, absolutely. We're witnessing a significant shift in how leading global corporations are reevaluating their hiring practices, especially for senior management. It's becoming less about ticking the MBA box,
Right.
and much more about what specific tangible capabilities you can bring to the table right now. There's this growing understanding, this realization that practical demonstrated experience and increasingly specialized skills are becoming paramount.
Paramount. That's a strong word.
It is, and this brings us directly to what we're calling the golden ticket myth. For decades, right, an MBA from a top-tier institution was seen as this almost infallible guarantee. You get the degree, you get the lucrative job, you get fast-track to leadership.
That was the promise.
That was the promise. But that perception is increasingly being challenged. My research clearly shows that a graduate business degree, particularly the MBA, is now just one of many credentials employers consider. It's not the automatic pass it maybe once was.
So just one piece of the puzzle now.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, even beyond that jarring Harvard statistic, nearly a quarter of their 2024 MBAs unemployed 3 months post-graduation. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates that while these degrees remain popular, the actual employment prospects for graduates can be quite uncertain.
Uncertain even from top schools.
Uncertain even from top schools. We're observing situations where graduates from even the most prestigious institutions find themselves in roles that, frankly, don't even require that expensive degree they just earned.
Wow. Underemployed, essentially.
Exactly. It highlights a significant disconnect between the perceived value, maybe the historical value, and the current real-world application. And part of that is that many companies are simply hesitant to hire recent graduates who, despite all their theoretical knowledge, might lack that hands-on experience in the complex, often ambiguous environments of modern business. They want people who can hit the ground running.
Which makes sense from their perspective. Less ramp-up time needed.
Precisely. And this leads directly into the shift to skills. Employers are increasingly prioritizing a different set of qualities beyond just academic achievement on a transcript.
Okay, so what are they looking for instead?
They're looking for practical, real-world experience, adaptability, huge one, and crucially, a robust set of soft skills.
Adaptability and soft skills, okay.
Yeah. When global employers are surveyed about what skills are most important for current graduate management education or GME graduates, and anyone who's completed a master's level business program, the classics are still highly valued. No surprise there. Problem solving is prioritized by 59% of employers, communication by 57%, and strategic thinking by 55%. These are foundational.
The bread and butter of business education.
Exactly. But what's really noteworthy is how closely behind those traditional competencies are interpersonal and teamwork skills at 50%.
40%, wow.
And adaptability at 47%. So what we're seeing is this critical blend. You need that foundation of timeless business competencies, absolutely, but there's an ever-growing emphasis on the softer, more human skills that enable collaboration, navigating change, working effectively in diverse teams.
That blend makes perfect sense, really.
Oh, right.
It's not enough to just be smart on paper, right?
Sure.
You have to be able to work with people, solve problems that aren't in the textbook, and just roll with the punches. And I can imagine the pandemic really accelerated that need for adaptability, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Massively. If we connect this to the bigger picture of the post-pandemic leader, we see this agility and resilience truly put to the test. Businesses that didn't just survive but actually thrived during the pandemic often had to completely overhaul their operations, sometimes in a matter of weeks.
Incredible pressure.
Immense pressure, showing huge agility and a willingness to iterate constantly. This new normal, whatever that means now, profoundly values leaders who can think quickly, make decisions on the fly, often with incomplete information in highly volatile environments.
So comfort with ambiguity.
Huge comfort with ambiguity, and it also places a massive premium on data-driven decision-making. Think about it. Some companies manage to fast-track years of digital transformation into mere weeks. How?
Data.
Because they effectively leveraged data. They used it to understand new customer behaviors, predict supply chain disruptions, pinpoint operational bottlenecks in real time. The impact is just undeniable. Businesses that are truly data-driven are reportedly 23 times more likely to acquire new customers.
23 times.
19 times more likely to be profitable, and 6 times more likely to retain customers.
Those numbers are staggering.
They really are. And this isn't just about having access to data or hiring data scientists. It's about a leadership mindset that integrates data analysis into every strategic decision. It demands not just analysis, but the ability to translate complex information into clear, actionable business initiatives. Leaders need to be fluent in asking the right questions of the data.
Right, not just looking at dashboards.
Exactly. And beyond the data, there's empathy. Cultivating a compassionate, understanding workplace leads to greater psychological safety. And that, in turn, fosters better collaboration, more innovation because people feel safe to take risks, and just overall higher team efficiency. It's this holistic view of leadership combining the hard analytical skills with the soft human skills that employers are now truly seeking.
That's a really powerful shift, a much more complete picture of a leader. But I have to ask, with all the buzz around AI right now, I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
How does that factor into what employers are looking for? Is it a skill they're demanding from new graduates immediately, or is it more of a, future thing?
That's a crucial question, and this is where the AI imperative gets really interesting, because while AI is dominating headlines, the data reveals a more nuanced picture right now.
Okay. Nuanced how?
Currently, only about a quarter, 26% of global employers explicitly consider AI skills important for GME graduates today.
Only a quarter. That seems low, given the hype.
It does seem low, but, and this is the key part, this is poised for truly massive growth. When you ask those same employers about skills that will be most important in the next 5 years, AI capabilities jump significantly in the rankings.
Oh, okay, so it's on the horizon, big time.
Big time. It moves from near the bottom of the list to near the top globally. For example, in Western Europe, the perceived importance of AI skills shot up 20 spots in the rankings for future needs. In the US, it went up 16 spots.
Wow, that's a rapid reprioritization.
It's incredibly rapid. This clearly indicates that future hiring strategies, especially for senior management roles, are going to be heavily influenced by advanced digital competencies, specifically fluency in AI.
So grads need to be ready for that future, even if it's not the top demand right now.
Exactly. And it's also really important to understand how employers want AI used. It's not about new hires simply generating more content faster or automating basic tasks, though that might be part of it.
Right, not just ChatGPT prompts.
Not just ChatGPT prompts. Employers who truly value AI, the forward-thinking ones, want graduates to use it as a strategic partner. 63% want them to use AI for acquiring deeper business knowledge, for analysis, for insights. And 62% want them using it for developing robust business strategies.
So using AI for higher-level thinking.
Precisely. It's about leveraging AI for deep thinking, complex problem solving, uncovering patterns, and making much more informed decisions, not just getting quick, superficial outputs.
That makes sense. A tool for augmentation, not just automation.
Perfectly put. And there are also fascinating regional and industry nuances to consider here. Central and South Asia, for example, 49% of employers there already see AI skills as important for current grads. In Africa, it's 43%.
Much higher than the global average or the US. What do you think that is?
It could be due to differing economic development stages, maybe different industry structures where digital transformation is being adopted more rapidly, perhaps out of necessity or maybe leapfrogging opportunities. Compare that to the United States, where only 13% currently prioritize it for GME grads.
13% in the US, that's a huge difference.
A huge difference. And predictably, the technology sector leads the way among industries. 36% of tech companies globally want AI skills now, followed by consulting. But what's particularly striking, and maybe a warning sign for schools, is that some employers, especially in tech and healthcare, actually indicate that current GME graduates could be better prepared in their AI capabilities.
So there's a gap. Employers want more than they're getting right now from some programs?
There's a potential gap emerging, yes. It signals a real hunger from industries at the forefront of innovation for talent that can strategically wield AI effectively, right from day one. And business schools need to address that immediately if they want their graduates to remain competitive.
Okay, so if corporations are shifting their hiring focus so dramatically, towards demonstrated skills, practical experience, AI fluency, it naturally leads us to ask, what are the business schools themselves doing about this? Are they just, sticking to the old playbook, or are they truly adapting to this rapidly changing landscape?
That is the critical question for their survival, really. Are they keeping up?
Exactly. I was on a forum for current MBA students recently, just browsing, and I read this post from a guy, David. He started his program at a top American university in 2023.
Okay, recent student.
Yeah. And he mentioned he expected the usual stuff, right? Finance, marketing, case studies about, companies from 20 years ago. He said the first semester delivered just that. Pretty standard.
The traditional core.
Right. But then in the second semester, boom, a new mandatory module appeared. Leadership in the AI era.
Mandatory. Okay, that's a statement from the school.
It felt like it.
Yeah.
And this wasn't just lectures. They were thrown into teams, mixed teams, paired with engineering students for a 3-month stint. Their goal: develop and pitch an actual AI-powered business solution to a panel of real venture capitalists.
Wow, talk about throwing them in the deep end. Interdisciplinary, high pressure.
Totally. David, who was a former consultant, said he initially felt completely useless. He was a PowerPoint pro, right? Not a data modeler. He described feeling totally lost for the first month while his engineering teammates were talking about APIs and training sets and all this tech jargon.
I can see how that would be intimidating. The language barrier alone.
Yeah. But then he said he had this breakthrough. He realized his role wasn't to code. It was to be the translator, the bridge between the tech possibilities and the market reality.
Connecting the dots. The business case.
Exactly. He became the one who could clearly articulate the business problem they were solving. He built a financial case. He shaped the narrative for their pitch to the VCs.
That's a crucial role, often missing in purely technical teams.
Absolutely. And he wrote that this one module, this single, hands-on, cross-functional, tech-infused experience was more valuable to him than all the traditional case studies combined.
That's a powerful testimonial for that kind of learning.
Isn't it? When I read stories like David's, it tells me that the smart institutions, the ones paying attention, they aren't sleeping. They're definitely scrambling for relevance. They're trying to become incubators for this new kind of leader one who's fluent enough in technology, comfortable with ambiguity, and really skilled in those softer arts of collaboration and communication across disciplines.
It sounds like a massive and difficult shift for them to make institutionally.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But honestly, it feels like the only way they can survive and continue to justify those enormous price tags in this new environment.
You're right. And David's experience is actually a perfect example of the kinds of innovative curriculum reforms that top-tier global business schools are implementing, or at least trying to implement, to ensure the continued relevance and value of their MBA programs. They seem to be fundamentally rethinking that old, static, theoretical approach.
Right, the lectures and case studies model.
And shifting, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly, to a much more dynamic, interactive, and future-oriented model.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice, beyond that one module example?
Well, it's clearly evident in their curriculum overhaul. Business schools are pretty aggressively incorporating new courses, things on artificial intelligence, obviously, but also blockchain, cybersecurity, big data analytics, and crucially, putting them into their core programs, not just making them electives you might take.
So everyone gets exposed to it.
That seems to be the goal in the more forward-looking schools. They're trying to significantly enhance students' ability to not just understand these things, but to actively use digital tools for better decision-making and strategic planning.
Making it practical.
Yes. We're also seeing a really pronounced move towards more interdisciplinary learning, pulling insights, faculty, even students from computer science departments, economics, engineering, sometimes even behavioral sciences, to offer a more holistic understanding of how businesses actually operate today.
Breaking down the silos.
Exactly. Which means, in practice, More real-world simulations, more project-based learning with actual companies on current problems, and hopefully a significant reduction in purely theoretical, lecture-based content.
More doing, less just listening.
That's the idea. And the AI integration imperative isn't just about offering a single class here or there, as we discussed. It's really about embedding AI into the fabric of core strategic thinking across the entire curriculum.
How so?
Well, some of the leading programs are now consciously combining technology, strategy, and leadership development into unified modules or learning streams. They want to provide a holistic education that mirrors how modern businesses actually have to operate. Integrating tech isn't separate, it's fundamental.
Right, it touches everything.
It touches everything. They're forging deeper collaborations with tech startups, with established firms to give students that hands-on experience with live projects, working with real, messy data sets, solving current business problems, not sanitized case studies from 5 years ago.
Real-world messiness.
Exactly. And there's a huge increased focus on data literacy. Again, not necessarily training them to become coders, but preparing graduates to understand how these technologies drive efficiencies, how they unlock new markets, how they fundamentally move a business forward strategically.
So the business implications of the tech.
Precisely. Think about how companies like GE transformed themselves, moving from being seen as a traditional industrial conglomerate to becoming this data-driven powerhouse by leveraging the Internet of Things and advanced analytics across their portfolio.
Right, the digital twin concept and all that.
Exactly. Or how Amazon integrates AI for practically everything from inventory management and logistics optimization to personalized customer recommendations and engagement. Business schools are now using these kinds of real-world transformations as direct blueprints for their curriculum design. They want students prepared for the strategic impact of these technologies from a leadership perspective, not just a technical one.
So it's less about learning Python, maybe, and more about understanding what Python can do for the business strategy, connecting the dots.
You've got it. Understanding the strategic implications for the entire business. That makes a lot of sense. But beyond just the technical or analytical skills, what about the kind of leadership needed in this disruptive environment? Does the MBA curriculum reflect that shift too?
That's a great question, because the tech is only part of the story.
Precisely. The shift isn't just about technical skills, it's profoundly about developing a new style of leadership for a disruptive age.
Yeah, okay. What does that look like?
Well, programs are intensely focusing on agile leadership training now, emphasizing the ability to adapt quickly, to build resilience within teams facing constant change, and crucially, to make rapid decisions, often under high uncertainty.
So less about long-term perfect plans, more about iterating and pivoting.
Very much so. Consider a leader during a sudden supply chain disruption or a rapid shift in consumer behavior, like we saw during the pandemic. An agile leader doesn't just react. They try to anticipate the cascading failures, they might rapidly reroute global logistics using real-time data, and crucially, they have to maintain team morale and focus despite immense pressure. It's about proactive agility, not just reactive problem solving.
That sounds incredibly demanding.
It is. And there's also a significant push now for ethical and inclusive leadership, especially with the growing concerns around data privacy, algorithmic bias, security vulnerabilities in this digital age. Leaders need an ethical compass alongside their strategic one.
Absolutely critical.
And as teams become more virtual, more globally distributed, more diverse in every sense, empathy and collaborative leadership skills are more critical than ever. How do you build trust and cohesion across time zones and screens? This comprehensive approach aims to ensure leaders are not only technologically savvy, but also emotionally intelligent, ethically grounded, and deeply adaptable.
A tall order for any program.
It is. And to try and facilitate all of this, we're seeing extensive, innovating teaching methods. More blended learning environments, combining the best of traditional in-person classrooms with the flexibility of online modules.
A hybrid model.
Yes. We see much more use of interactive simulations, elaborate role-playing exercises, sometimes involving actors, and even virtual reality experiences being used to demonstrate real-world digital challenges or complex leadership dilemmas in a safe-to-fail environment.
VR for business school. Interesting.
Yeah, it's starting to happen. And perhaps most interestingly, some instructors are increasingly using data-driven feedback mechanisms themselves, tracking student engagement and progress in real time through online platforms, and using that data to tailor their teaching, creating a much more dynamic and responsive learning experience.
Using data to teach better. Makes sense.
Now, it's also really important to discuss employer confidence versus program modality. Because despite all these shifts and the tough questions about the MBA's traditional role,
Right, the Harvard numbers we started with.
exactly. Despite that, overall employer confidence in graduate management education, GME, has actually reached new peaks since the pandemic.
Really, confidence is up.
It is overall. A significant 40% of employers globally report high confidence in GME's ability to prepare successful graduates. Most employers still largely believe, rightly or wrongly, that GME graduates tend to outperform other employees, that they get fast-tracked to upper-level positions, and that they earn more over their careers.
Okay, so the general belief in the value is still there.
The general belief seems quite resilient, and what's particularly striking is that employers' appreciation for the skills GME graduates bring to today's remote and hybrid work environment has almost doubled since 2021.
Doubled. Why?
Well, about 2/3 of employers now say GME skills are more important in this flexible context. The thinking seems to be that these graduates often possess the structured thinking, the digital communication skills, the strategic planning capabilities that are vital for navigating distributed teams effectively.
Ah, so the core skills translate well to managing remote work.
That seems to be the perception. The surge in perceived value is most pronounced in Fortune 100 and 500 companies and in industries like finance, accounting, and manufacturing. So there's still strong, albeit maybe evolving, demand in those traditional sectors.
Okay, but here comes the but, right?
Here comes the nuance, yes. And it's a critical one for anyone considering these programs. While employers value the skills needed for flexible work, they still largely favor traditional in-person programs over purely online programs or those micro-credentials we mentioned earlier.
So how you get the skills still matters a lot to them.
It seems to, significantly. 2/3 of employers believe in-person programs impart stronger technical skills. And nearly 3/4, 75%, believe they provide better leadership and communication skills.
Wow, that's a big gap in perception. Why do you think that is?
Well, it highlights this persistent perception gap that online programs are working really hard to address. The assumption, I think, is that the informal networking, the coffee chats, the immersive campus environment, the daily collaborative problem-solving face-to-face, that all that stuff is still invaluable for developing those crucial soft skills.
The serendipitous learning and relationship building.
Exactly. Now, interestingly, U.S. employers are showing a bit more openness to the idea that online programs can offer comparable skill development compared to their global counterparts, so maybe that perception is starting to shift, at least regionally.
Okay, a glimmer of change there. And what about micro-credentials versus a full degree?
Similar story. 2/3 of employers globally still believe full business degrees are more effective than micro-credentials for long-term employee success. Although here again, U.S. employers are gradually warming to micro-credentials.
What are micro-credentials exactly? Just quick refresh.
Sure. They're typically shorter, highly focused certifications or digital badges that validate specific skills, often in emerging areas like maybe AI prompt engineering or agile project management or sustainability reporting, things that might not warrant a full degree but are valuable skills.
Got it. Specific skill validation.
Right. So the takeaway here is complex. While the curriculum inside business schools is definitely changing to meet new demands, the mode of delivery in person versus online, full degree versus micro-credential still heavily influences employer perception, at least for now. That's a tension that both schools and potential students need to navigate.
Okay, so if corporations are hiring differently, right? Value and experience specific skills, maybe less hung up on the MBA degree itself, and business schools are racing to adapt, trying to prove their relevance. What does this all mean for someone who maybe can't afford a top MBA or just doesn't want to go that traditional route? Are there genuinely effective alternative pathways to leadership that don't involve that huge investment of time and money?
That's the million-dollar question for so many people right now. Is there another way? And I think the answer is increasingly yes.
Yeah. Tell me more. Let's think about Sophia in São Paulo. This is a story that illustrates this perfectly, I think.
Okay.
Sophia in São Paulo.
She was a brilliant junior brand manager, really smart, big ambitions, wanted to move up, but a $150,000 plus MBA program at some top international school, it was just completely out of reach financially. Her family needed her support. Taking on that kind of debt was basically impossible.
A very common reality for many talented people globally. Absolutely. But instead of giving up on her ambitions, she made a different kind of investment, a much smaller one financially. She took the $5,000 or so she might have spent on application fees, GMAT prep courses, maybe initial deposits.
Right, the getting started costs for an MBA app.
Exactly. And she invested it directly in herself instead. She subscribed to multiple online learning platforms, Coursera, EDX, maybe HubSpot Academy, places like that. And she earned specialized certifications in things directly relevant to her field and where she wanted to go. Digital marketing, SEO, data analytics, getting certified by the tech giants themselves, like Google.
Smart, building targeted skills.
Very targeted. And she didn't just do courses. She joined niche online communities for e-commerce professionals, actively participated in discussions, shared insights she was learning, asked smart questions, and started building a network based on shared expertise and interest, not just because they went to the same school.
Building social capital online based on merit.
Exactly. And she even built a real portfolio. She started running small marketing campaigns for local businesses in her spare time, using free and low-cost digital tools, specifically so she could show tangible results, measurable improvements in sales for them, or website traffic, real proof of what she could do.
That's incredibly proactive, taking initiative.
Incredibly proactive. And within 2 years, she leveraged that portfolio, her new skills, and her growing online network into a remote role with a fast-growing European retail tech company, a company she actually connected with through one of those online communities she was active in.
Wow, so the network paid off directly.
Directly. And get this. By the time her peers, who might have gone the traditional MBA route, were graduating with their degrees and facing that six-figure debt, Sophia had 4 years of targeted, practical, international experience under her belt, a robust global network she built entirely herself, and she was already leading a small remote team, all without a formal business degree.
That's an amazing story. Sophia's story.
Isn't it? Sophia's story, or stories like hers, I think they really define this new landscape. Now, it's a path that demands incredible discipline, right? Tons of self-motivation, a really proactive mindset. You don't have the university brand name opening doors. You don't have the built-in alumni network making introductions.
No doubt. It's harder in some ways. You have to create your own structure.
You do. You have to build your own credibility brick by brick, project by project. You have to continuously demonstrate your value directly in the competitive marketplace. But it shows it's possible.
It absolutely shows it's possible, and Sophia's story beautifully illustrates what's achievable now. It highlights these increasingly effective alternative pathways for aspiring business leaders. The traditional MBA's allure might be fading for some people, not because it suddenly has no value whatsoever.
No, it still works for some.
It still has value in certain contexts, but its dominance is being challenged because the landscape of career advancement has just broadened dramatically. It's offering viable and often much more cost-effective alternative.
So let's break down those alternatives. What's driving people towards them, besides cost?
Well, cost is a huge driver. Let's start with the ROI dilemma. For many potential students, the sheer financial commitment of a top-tier MBA, we're talking $55,000 to over $160,000 in tuition alone.
Oh.
And that doesn't even include the substantial lost income from being out of the workforce for potentially 2 years. That calculation simply doesn't always guarantee the expected return on investment anymore.
Especially with those uncertain job stats we talked about.
Exactly. The average MBA salary in the U.S., which hovers around $129,000, often doesn't adequately offset that massive student loan debt, plus the opportunity cost, particularly for those who don't land those top-tier consulting or finance jobs right out of the gate. For many, this debt can linger for years, seriously impacting major life decisions, buying a home, starting a family, maybe even taking an entrepreneurial risk later on.
The golden handcuffs of debt.
In a way, yes. And this ties directly into the core of the skills versus experience in the real-world debate we've been having. We've seen repeatedly that employers increasingly want practical, hands-on experience, not just impressive theoretical knowledge.
They want people who can do, not just know.
Precisely. And while a good MBA provides a strong theoretical framework, some studies have found that recent MBA graduates can sometimes struggle to adjust immediately to the workplace. They might feel ill-equipped for the sheer messiness of real-world complexities, like navigating intense interpersonal conflict resolution, managing diverse cross-functional teams with different personalities and agendas, or making high-stakes decisions under extreme time pressure and ambiguity.
Things you can't easily simulate in a classroom?
Exactly, which often means that hands-on experience gained through actual work, targeted internships, special projects, or even self-taught skills applied in real scenarios can offer deeper, more practical insights than classroom simulations alone can provide. Plus, the business landscape is evolving so fast now, traditional curricula sometimes struggle to keep pace. Demonstrated, current skills gained through direct experience can feel far more valuable to an employer today.
That makes a lot of sense. What about networking? Isn't that a huge selling point for MBAs?
It absolutely is. The networking landscape is always brought up. Business schools have long and rightly touted their powerful alumni networks as a primary benefit, and they can be incredibly valuable.
Sure. Access to people, opportunities.
Yes. But the rise of digital platforms like LinkedIn, specialized online communities like the ones Sophia used, virtual industry conferences and events, all of this has significantly democratized the networking process.
So you don't need the campus quad anymore to meet people.
Not exclusively, no. You can now connect with industry leaders, recruiters, potential mentors, and peers who share your specific professional interests without paying tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars for the privilege of being on campus. Plus, let's be honest, the effectiveness of any MBA network also varies wildly by institution and critically by how proactive an individual student actually is at leveraging it.
Right. Just being there isn't enough. You have to work the network.
You absolutely do. So, relying on the network alone as the sole justification for such a massive investment, it's becoming a less compelling argument for some.
Okay, so if the ROI is questionable, experience is paramount, and networking is democratized, what are the concrete alternative education pathways people like Sophia are using?
This is where it gets really exciting, I think, because there are so many options emerging. First, as Sophia demonstrated, online courses and certifications. Platforms like Coursera, Udacity, ADX, LinkedIn Learning, even courses offered directly by tech companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, they offer highly targeted training in specific high-demand skills.
Digital marketing, data science, cloud computing, coding.
All of that. Project management, cybersecurity. The list goes on. They provide flexible, on-demand learning, usually at a tiny fraction of the cost of a traditional degree. And critically, they allow for immediate application of that new knowledge in your current job or projects.
Learn it tonight, use it tomorrow.
Pretty much. Then there's the growing power of micro-credentials, which we touched on. These shorter, focused certifications or digital badges validate specific skill sets. Remember that stat. My research shows an impressive 81% of organizations are already using micro-credentials for internal professional development.
81%. So
Yeah.
companies value them internally already.
They do. They focus on everything from very specific industry technical skills to project management methodologies to business soft skills like communication or negotiation to advanced technical competencies. They're incredibly attractive because they're flexible, they can be customized to specific needs, and they address immediate skill gaps much faster than a multi-year degree program can.
Quick, targeted upskilling.
Exactly. And importantly, watch this space. Some progressive business schools are now exploring stackable micro-credentials. The idea is that several smaller related certifications could potentially build up over time to count towards a larger degree, maybe a specialized master's or even part of an MBA.
Ah, like building blocks. Best of both worlds.
Potentially, yes. Offering flexibility and eventual degree credibility. It's an interesting model to watch.
Definitely. What else?
Well, for mid-career professionals, people who already have significant experience, say typically 8 or more years, and they want to move into senior leadership but without pausing their careers, the executive MBA, EMBA, is a strong and increasingly popular option.
Right, the EMBA. How'd that differ from a regular MBA?
Key differences. MBAs are part-time programs, often 12 to 18 months long, designed for working professionals, so classes are typically on weekends or in hybrid formats. You keep your job, you keep earning.
Less opportunity cost.
Much less opportunity cost. And the focus is different too. It's heavily geared towards strategic leadership, managing innovation, dealing with digital transformation challenges, and crucially, the immediate real-world application of concepts back in your own company. You learn something on Saturday, you try applying it on Monday.
It's in feedback loop.
Exactly, which often leads to a faster, more tangible return on investment. We're also seeing a rise in specialized MBAs now maybe focused specifically on product leadership or healthcare management or digital transformation. These are becoming highly sought after for senior roles like VP of product or chief digital officer.
So targeted leadership development for experienced pros. What about salaries?
Post-MBA salaries globally tend to average around $150,000 to $180,000, sometimes higher depending on the school and industry. So it can offer a significant financial return, often faster than a traditional MBA, and without that 2-year career break.
That sounds like a compelling option for the right person.
It really is. And beyond formal degrees or MBAs, there are also dedicated leadership development programs. These aren't degrees, but intensive programs focused purely on developing leadership capabilities.
Like executive coaching programs.
Sort of, but often more structured and cohort-based. Consider something like the Career Advancement Program, CAPE, run by Management Leadership for Tomorrow, or MLT. It's designed specifically for highly talented mid-career professionals from underrepresented backgrounds, but the model is relevant more broadly.
Okay. What do they involve?
It's typically an intensive program, maybe 9 months long. It includes things like personalized leadership assessments, one-on-one executive coaching, intensive seminars on specific leadership topics, real-world business simulations, and strong peer networking within the cohort.
Sounds very hands-on and personalized. Does it work?
Well, the results they report are impressive. Things like 100% of managers would recommend the program for their employees, 95% of participants say they gained new frameworks for making decisions, and 90% receive a promotion or an excellent performance review shortly after completing the program.
Wow. Those are concrete outcomes.
Very concrete. These programs don't give you a degree, but they offer highly focused skill development and invaluable networking opportunities that seem to directly translate into significant career advancement for many participants.
Another strong alternative then.
Definitely. And finally, just to broaden the perspective, let's briefly consider the billionaire factor.
Ah, the outliers.
Exactly. When you look at many of the world's most successful billionaires and business titans, it's actually surprising how many didn't earn an MBA, or sometimes even a formal business degree at all.
Like who?
Well, think of Elon Musk. Degrees in physics and economics, yes, but his success with Tesla, SpaceX, driven by a relentless focus on engineering innovation, complex problem solving, and basically building entirely new industries from scratch, not MBA frameworks.
By deep domain expertise and vision.
Jeff Bezos' computer science background built Amazon by prioritizing customer obsession, relentless experimentation, scaling from an online bookstore to a global e-commerce and cloud computing giant. Again, no MBA.
Mark Zuckerberg famously dropped out of Harvard, built Facebook on rapid iteration, understanding user behavior, a willingness to disrupt social paradigms.
Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, iconic figures, both college dropouts. Their empires were forged through sheer vision, incredible persistence, adaptability, and almost innate ability to connect with consumers and inspire teams.
So what's the lesson there? Don't get an MBA.
No, not necessarily. The lesson isn't that MBAs are useless. It's that their trajectories clearly demonstrate that extraordinary success often stems from things besides traditional business school training. Things like radical innovation, sheer persistence, incredible adaptability, a high tolerance for risk-taking, and deeply hands-on iterative experience. This pattern strongly suggests that while an MBA can be valuable, maybe particularly in more established corporate structures, it is certainly not the only path, and perhaps not even the necessary path, to achieving extraordinary business success. Success in today's global economy seems less about possessing a single, prestigious credential, and more about cultivating a diversified, continually updated skill set, coupled with relentless application, resilience, and a visionary mindset. Hashtag, tag, outro.
So where does this leave us? What does this all mean? It seems clearer than ever that the business world is just in this constant, accelerating state of flux. And the value proposition of the traditional MBA, it's definitely being reevaluated, questioned, challenged.
No doubt about it.
We're witnessing this fascinating and, I think, powerful shift where demonstrated practical experience, adaptability, and those specialized digital competencies, especially in areas like AI, they're becoming critically important for senior roles, sometimes even seeming to supersede the traditional academic credentials like the MBA.
Absolutely. And while the business schools themselves are actively trying to transform their curricula, pushing hard to integrate emerging technologies, trying to foster new leadership skills like agility and empathy.
The good ones are, anyway.
The good ones are working hard at it. But at the same time, the marketplace itself is creating these incredibly dynamic alternative pathways. It's just no longer only about a single prestigious degree unlocking the door to the C-suite.
The monopoly is broken, maybe.
Perhaps. We're seeing more and more value being placed on continuous, personalized learning journeys like Sophia's, on robust professional networks built around shared expertise and contribution, not just alma mater, and on the undeniable ability to apply skills directly and immediately to solve real-world complex problems.
It's a really powerful reminder, I think, that in today's economy, success isn't just about collecting credentials, ticking boxes on a resume.
Definitely not.
It's much more about how you continually adapt, how you keep learning, how you apply knowledge in new and unexpected ways, constantly building and crucially demonstrating your value in a really competitive marketplace.
Well said. It's about demonstrable value.
Yeah. It feels like the future of business leadership is less about finding that single mythical golden ticket and far more about meticulously crafting your own unique, incredibly valuable toolkit, piece by piece, throughout your entire career.